The galaxy was changing, but few noticed. For centuries, civilizations had expanded and competed, building fleets and empires. They celebrated progress, power, and knowledge, believing themselves safe in their brilliance. But humans, small and often overlooked, were learning to see what others could not. Captain Elias Ward sat in the bridge of the Aegis, his hands resting lightly on the railing as his crew studied the monitors. The sensors picked up a strange pattern near a cluster of uninhabited star systems. It was subtle, a faint gravitational anomaly and a residual energy trail. But to humans trained to notice small shifts, it was unmistakable. Something had passed through here, something vast, something alive. Lieutenant Mirasolis pointed to the readings. "Captain, look at this. The signals. They're not random. They move with purpose, and the energy signature. It's consistent with what Dr. Carter predicted." Ward studied the display. His eyes, dark and steady, reflected the pale lights of the holographic maps. "We're close," he said simply. "Whatever left this trail is intelligent, and it's learning." The crew fell silent. Humans were small in the galaxy, but they were known for their courage and adaptability. Unlike the alien civilizations who relied on strength, size, or rigid protocols, humans relied on observation, intuition, and quick thinking. In this moment, those qualities were their greatest weapons. Meanwhile, far away in the heart of the Olaran collective, alarms blared quietly. A scouting fleet had vanished without a trace. The crystalline beings who had dismissed humanity's warning months ago were forced to notice the pattern, yet they hesitated. Political pride and fear of appearing weak kept their fleets in orbit, even as whispers of a predator began to circulate. Back on the Aegis, Ward and his crew prepared for the unknown. The ship's shields had been upgraded using human ingenuity, a combination of adaptive deflectors, reflective energy fields, and real-time sensor adjustments. The engines were silent, designed to mask their presence from any detection. Every crew member understood that they were small, vulnerable, but capable of cleverness that no machine or fleet could predict. "Captain," said Dr. Carter's voice over the comm link, calm but urgent. "We've detected debris from another fleet. Alien ships, Olaran, Therax, and Valen. They've been destroyed. Only fragments remain. The Predator is moving faster than we anticipated." Ward's jaw tightened. "How close?" "Near the edge of the Orion cluster," she replied. "If we do not act, it will continue inward, consuming systems and learning from each encounter. Humans are small, but we can still prepare traps. We must anticipate, not react." Ward nodded, his mind working rapidly. "Understood. Prepare all ships for stealth maneuvers. I want a full survey of nearby systems. If the Predator approaches, we need to know before it arrives." The crew worked efficiently. Humans had always thrived in crisis, using limited resources to solve impossible problems. In the laboratories, engineers adjusted sensors, mathematicians calculated predictive paths, and pilots ran simulations of escape and engagement. They understood that intelligence and preparation could outweigh size and firepower. As the Aegis moved through the darkness, the Predator's presence became more apparent. A planet in the Orion cluster flickered and disappeared from the sensors, leaving a faint, empty orbit. The crew gasped, even though they had expected it. Humanity had studied legends, traces of energy, and the remains of civilizations that vanished long ago. Still, seeing it firsthand was a stark reminder of what they faced. Lieutenant Solis turned to Ward. "Do you think we can stop it?" Ward's gaze did not waver. "Stop it? No, not alone. But we can slow it, mislead it, and survive. That is enough. Humans, remember. We have survived impossible odds before, and we will survive again." Their mission was not to fight with weapons. It was to study, anticipate, and survive. Using decoy satellites and sensor echoes, they created false signals to mislead the Predator, drawing it away from inhabited systems. They monitored energy trails, predicting its next move, and even learned small patterns in its behavior. The Predator was not just a force of destruction. It was intelligent, testing, probing, and learning from everything in its path. Hours turned into days. The crew slept in shifts, studied patterns, and repaired the ship. Even in the darkness of space, there was a sense of quiet hope. Humans were small, yes, but clever and determined. They remembered the past, they adapted to the present, and they planned for the future. Suddenly, a sensor alarm blared. The Predator had been detected nearby. Its presence caused the stars to shimmer strangely. like light bending around something massive and unknowable. The Aegis remained hidden, using its stealth systems, but the tension on the bridge was palpable. Ward spoke calmly, his voice steady. All crew remain alert. Track its movements. Do not engage directly. Observe, learn, survive. They watched as a massive, shadow-like form moved through the void. The Predator's intelligence was clear in the patterns it left behind. Every movement precise, every strike efficient. It had destroyed alien fleets before, yet here it hesitated. Perhaps it sensed the humans observing, calculating, learning. Perhaps it had not yet understood their adaptability. Dr. Carter's voice returned over the comm. We have an opportunity. If we can predict its next move, we can create a diversion to protect nearby colonies. We must act quickly, Ward nodded. Prepare the decoys. Activate the energy dampers. And remember, humans are small but clever. We survive because we think and we act together. The plan unfolded. The Aegis deployed a series of decoy satellites, each emitting energy patterns similar to inhabited ships. Some were stationary, others moved along predicted paths, drawing the Predator's attention. The humans monitored every reaction, adjusting the decoys in real time. The Predator approached the first decoy. Its massive shadow shifted and paused, analyzing. Then it struck, consuming the satellite in a burst of energy. The humans had learned its behavior from this interaction, predicting the next strike. Another decoy moved into place and the Predator followed. Ward and Solus exchanged a glance. It's working, Solus whispered. Yes, Ward said, a small smile forming. We are learning faster than it is. That is the human advantage. For hours, the Predator followed the false trails, unaware of the humans observing it from a distance. The Aegis recorded every movement, every reaction, building a map of the Predator's strategies. This knowledge would be vital for future encounters. Yet, even in victory, there was caution. The Predator adapted quickly. By the next day, it began testing new strategies, probing the decoys in unexpected ways. Humans adjusted, analyzing patterns and creating new diversions. Each encounter was a lesson, a reminder that survival required constant learning and adaptation. In the darkness of space, a message reached the humans from a distant colony. Your warnings were dismissed, it said. We feared nothing, but now we see the truth. Can you help us survive? Ward's reply was simple. We will help. But you must act with us, not wait for rescue. Observe, learn, adapt. Humanity remembers, and we will show you how. By the end of the mission in the Orion cluster, humans had done something remarkable. They had studied the Predator, created diversions, and saved entire colonies from immediate destruction. They had proved that size and firepower were not the only measures of strength. Intelligence, memory, cooperation, and courage were equally powerful. And yet the galaxy remained largely unaware. Alien civilizations continued their debates, slow to react, still proud and dismissive. But humans had begun to change the balance, showing that even the smallest species could shape events through ingenuity and persistence. As the Aegis left the cluster, Ward looked out at the stars. The galaxy ignores the warning, he said softly, but we do not. We remember, and we will act. Humanity survives not because we are the largest or the strongest, but because we think, adapt, and remember. Lieutenant Solus nodded. Then we continue. Observation, adaptation, survival. Ward smiled faintly. Exactly. Humans will not be silent. We will prepare, and when the time comes, we will lead. The Predator may learn from us, but we will always learn faster. The ship glided silently through the stars, a small beacon of hope against a vast, indifferent galaxy. Shadows of the Predator lingered ahead, but humans did not fear them. They studied, they adapted, and they remembered. That was their power. That was why the galaxy could never truly ignore humanity. And as the first warnings echoed faintly through the void, the humans of the Aegis knew one truth above all. They would survive. The galaxy might not yet understand, the alien civilizations might still doubt, but humans had begun a journey that would prove their value, their courage, and their unyielding memory in the face of the unknown. The shadows in the stars had grown, but so had humanity's resolve. They would continue to watch, to learn, and to prepare, knowing that survival required both wisdom and courage, and in that silent determination, the galaxy would one day remember that humans, though small, were extraordinary. The galaxy had begun to notice subtle changes. Star systems on the edge of the Orion cluster were missing, and strange energy signatures flickered across the void. Still, many civilizations chose to ignore the warnings of humanity. Pride and disbelief remained stronger than caution. Yet in the shadows of these absent worlds, humans quietly prepared, learning from every movement of the predator that now haunted the outer rim. On board the Aegis, Captain Elias Ward and his crew analyzed the latest data. Sensors had recorded the predator's path through several systems, and the readings confirmed what they already suspected. The predator was intelligent, strategic, and adaptive. It did not simply destroy, it studied, it learned, it evolved. Dr. Leona Carter stood beside Ward, her tablet glowing with streams of energy readings. "Its pattern is becoming more complex," she said. "It's analyzing our diversions. Every time we trick it, it learns something new. If we are not careful, it will anticipate our moves in the future." Ward rubbed his chin. "Then we adapt faster. Humans survive because we remember and adjust. That is our strength." The bridge crew nodded, each aware of the delicate balance between observation and action. Unlike the alien civilizations, humans did not rely solely on power or rigid strategies. They relied on memory, intuition, and quick thinking. Every past encounter was catalogued, every observation a lesson. Humanity's strength lay not in what they had built, but in what they remembered. The Aegis traveled toward a nearby system where the predator had been predicted to strike next. Ward gathered his officers in the strategy room. Holographic maps displayed the cluster of stars, the paths of distant colonies, and the predicted trajectory of the predator. "We need to act before it reaches this system," Ward said. "If we can mislead it again, we can buy time for the colonies here to prepare or evacuate. But this time it will be more difficult. It learns from our previous moves." Lieutenant Mira Solis stepped forward, pointing to a small cluster of asteroids near the system. "We could use these as natural decoys. Instead of sending satellites, we let the environment itself create false signals. It would be more convincing than anything mechanical." Dr. Carter nodded. "And we can use energy pulses to simulate life signs on some planets while hiding actual activity. If the predator studies these signals, it will waste time analyzing empty worlds." Ward smiled faintly. "Good. Humans remember, we plan, and we survive. Let's put it into action." As the crew deployed the plan, the predator moved silently through the void. Its presence was almost tangible, a shadow among the stars, a weight that seemed to bend light itself. It struck without warning, targeting one of the decoys first. The energy release was immense, and the crew watched as the asteroid cluster lit up briefly, before collapsing into nothingness. "Analysis," Dr. Carter ordered. "What did it learn?" "The predator adjusted its path slightly," reported Solis. "It seems to expect more decoys now. It may be learning to distinguish real activity from false, but we can stay one step ahead if we remain unpredictable." Humans had survived because they understood adaptation. They remembered not just the past, but patterns, weaknesses, and possibilities. Each encounter with the predator was a lesson, and they cataloged every movement, every strike, every hesitation. Their small ships, their simple technology compared to alien fleets, became powerful tools because humans themselves were the greatest resource. Meanwhile, alien civilizations finally began to notice the human-led operations. The Valen Conclave sent a fleet to observe, curious about how a species so young and seemingly weak could manipulate the predator's behavior. Even the Therax Dominion, known for their warlike nature, monitored from a distance, intrigued despite their pride. Ward's communications officer reported a message from a distant colony. "Captain, they are asking for guidance. They saw what humans did with the decoys and want instructions on how to survive." Ward leaned back, considering. "Send them coordinates for evacuation routes and monitoring points. Teach them to watch, to learn, and to adapt. We can guide them, but survival requires effort. Humans remember, and now others will have to remember too." The predator struck again, this time at a world that had been marked as a false target. Its attack was precise, destroying the energy pulses and leaving the planet barren. The humans had anticipated some of its movements, but not all. Even in this partial setback, the crew remained calm. Each failure was a lesson, each loss a memory to strengthen their strategies. Ward looked around the room. "We cannot stop it alone, but we can survive and help others survive. That is our mission. Humans remember. Others may learn from us if they are willing." Dr. Carter's eyes shone with determination. "And they will. The galaxy may ignore us, but we act anyway. Knowledge is our weapon, memory our shield, and courage our engine. As days passed, humans continued to track the predator. The Aegis traveled through uncharted systems, observing without engagement whenever possible, recording the predator's reactions to decoys, environmental signals, and even human communication attempts. They learned that the predator did not attack blindly. It considered patterns, timing, and even the apparent organization of fleets. Intelligence, they realized, was its greatest weapon, and theirs had to be equal. One night, as Ward observed the stars from the observation deck, Solus joined him. "Do you ever think it notices us?" she asked softly. "The way we study it, the way we adapt?" Ward shook his head. "I do not know. Perhaps, but it cannot predict creativity, intuition, or the lessons we carry from memory. That is human strength. That is why we survive. The predator may be patient, but so are we." The crew worked tirelessly. Engineers repaired shields, mathematicians refined predictive algorithms, and pilots ran simulations to test escape routes and diversion tactics. Humans were small, vulnerable, and underestimated, yet their ability to think, remember, and act together gave them a subtle but critical advantage. Then came a breakthrough. Dr. Carter discovered a pattern in the predator's movements, a rhythm hidden within its attacks. "It favors energy-rich systems," she explained. "It also seems to pause briefly when it encounters intelligent observation. We can use that hesitation to our advantage." Ward's eyes narrowed. "Then we create a trap. Not to destroy it, it may be too powerful, but to mislead it, delay it, and protect as many systems as possible." The next days were a blur of preparation. Humans used natural formations, energy simulations, and calculated signals to create a network of traps. Each step required precise timing and coordination. For the first time, humans were not only observing, they were influencing the predator's actions, and each success, however small, was a testament to human memory, intelligence, and cooperation. When the predator finally encountered the human-prepared trap, it reacted exactly as Dr. Carter had predicted. Energy pulses led it along a false path, while nearby colonies prepared evacuations. The predator paused at unexpected signals, studying, recalculating, adapting, but humans had anticipated each adjustment. By the time it realized some signals were false, it was already too late to prevent the diversions from saving lives. Ward watched the sensors, a quiet satisfaction in his eyes. "It learned, yes," he said, "but we learned faster, and that is why we survive." For the first time, alien civilizations observing from afar began to understand. Humans, small and underestimated, were capable of strategy, intuition, and adaptation beyond what machines or brute force could achieve. The galaxy may have ignored the warnings, but humans remembered. They acted when others hesitated. They observed when others dismissed. And they survived when others would have fallen. As the Aegis left the cluster, Ward addressed his crew. "This is only the beginning. The predator will continue its path. Many systems are at risk, but we have learned, and that knowledge is more powerful than any fleet. Humans survive because we remember and we act. That is what makes us strong." Dr. Carter added, "The galaxy may not believe us yet, but the lessons we record will endure. Memory is our greatest tool. Every encounter, every observation, every life saved becomes a part of our strength. That is humanity's legacy." Solus smiled faintly. "Then we continue. Observe, learn, adapt, survive. Always remember." Ward nodded, his gaze on the stars. "Exactly. The predator may shadow the stars, but humanity will continue forward. Small, yes, but clever, resilient, and unyielding. And one day, the galaxy will remember that humans were not just witnesses, but guides, teachers, and survivors." As the Aegis glided through the darkness, a quiet determination filled the ship. Humans had survived impossible odds before, and they would do so again. The galaxy might ignore the warnings. Alien civilizations might still doubt, but humanity's memory, intelligence, and courage were already shaping the course of events. The predator moved on, its shadow stretching across empty star systems. But the humans of the Aegis were ready. They had studied, adapted, and learned. They had remembered. And in the quiet knowledge of their capabilities, they knew the galaxy would one day recognize the true strength of humanity. The memory of survival had become their power, and it was only the beginning. The galaxy had grown restless. Systems that were once thriving now floated in eerie silence, abandoned or destroyed. The Predator had left its trail of vanished worlds, a reminder that intelligence alone could not always prevent disaster. Alien civilizations, once proud and confident, were beginning to acknowledge the danger, but fear alone could not forge unity. On the Aegis, Captain Elias Ward and his crew studied the latest intelligence. Using the predictive algorithms developed by Dr. Leona Carter, they had traced the Predator's likely path to a dense cluster of inhabited star systems. Humans could not confront it alone. They needed allies. Ward called a meeting with his officers. The holographic map of the galaxy flickered, highlighting vulnerable worlds. "The Predator is learning faster than we expected," he said. "If we do not act, more civilizations will be destroyed. We need allies and we need cooperation, not just observation. Humans will lead because we have learned what others cannot: how to anticipate, adapt, and survive." Lieutenant Mira Solis tapped on the hologram. "We can reach out to the Therax and Valan fleets. Some are already observing us. If we show them a plan, they may follow our lead. But we must convince them quickly. They are proud and slow to act." Dr. Carter nodded. "The Oloran will be more difficult. They believe strength alone can protect them. We must appeal to logic and survival." Ward's eyes hardened with determination. "Prepare messages. We will offer guidance, but we will not beg. The galaxy must remember that survival requires action. If they follow, they follow. If they do not, we act anyway." The communications were sent. For days, the humans waited, tracking responses from fleets that had long ignored their warnings. Finally, replies began to arrive. Some curious, some skeptical, but a few willing to cooperate. The first true sign of hope came from a small Valan contingent. They agreed to follow the humans' lead, sending observers and scouts to the Aegis. As the human-led alliance began to form, the Predator advanced. Its presence was more pronounced now, warping light and gravity as it moved through star clusters. Human intelligence and careful observation had given them insight, but the Predator's adaptability remained formidable. Ward addressed the Alliance commanders aboard the Aegis's central bridge. "The Predator learns. We cannot fight it directly. Our strength lies in strategy, observation, and adaptation. Each fleet, each crew must act as part of a larger plan. Humans will guide, but all must contribute. We survive together or not at all." The alien commanders listened cautiously. Some were uneasy at following humans, a species so young and small compared to their empires. But the evidence of survival and the loss of fleets had softened their pride. Slowly they began to coordinate. The humans led the creation of a defensive network. Observation stations were placed in high-risk systems, and predictive pathways were calculated for the Predator's movements. Ships were positioned in patterns designed to mislead, delay, and channel the Predator away from inhabited worlds. Humans demonstrated how memory and adaptability could become strategic tools. Ward and Solis directed the efforts, coordinating with alien fleet leaders who had never worked with humans before. The differences in approach were stark. Aliens relied on sheer firepower and rigid formation tactics, while humans emphasized flexible responses and improvisation. At first the aliens doubted, but the results were undeniable. When humans predicted the Predator's path accurately and avoided unnecessary losses, the aliens began to trust their guidance. Dr. Carter observed the Predator's latest movement on the bridge's sensors. "It is testing the Alliance," she said. "It probes weak points, examines patterns, and adapts to our strategies. But we can anticipate its probes if we act unpredictably. Humans think beyond immediate rules. We adapt and remember." The first coordinated engagement with the Predator tested the Alliance. Humans guided fleets through false signals and energy decoys, while alien ships provided strength in key positions. The Predator reacted as expected, striking at simulated targets while leaving actual colonies untouched. The plan worked, but the engagement revealed weaknesses. Some alien fleets were slow to adjust, and the Predator adapted quickly. Ward addressed the Alliance. "We succeeded, but not without losses. We must improve coordination. Every ship, every fleet, every crew must act as part of the larger strategy. Humans will lead, but adaptation is everyone's responsibility. Learn, remember, adjust." Even with success, tension remained high. The Predator's intelligence was undeniable. It studied, it learned, and it adapted to patterns humans and aliens created. But humans retained an edge: creativity, intuition, and memory. Each encounter added to their understanding, building a foundation for future strategy. The Alliance began to understand the human approach. They learned to observe, to anticipate, and to react without rigid protocol. Fleet movements became more fluid, communication more precise, and planning more adaptive. Humans taught that survival was not simply about power. It was about learning, remembering, and responding. In one critical operation, the Predator targeted a cluster of colonies protected by a combination of human-devised decoys and alien fleet placements. It paused, analyzing the signals, then chose a path humans had predicted. The colonies remained safe. For the first time, some alien commanders admitted openly that human insight had saved lives. Ward and Solus stood together on the observation deck of the Aegis, looking out at the stars. "They are beginning to see it," Solus said quietly. "The aliens, they are learning from us," Ward nodded. "Yes, humans are small but clever. We remember and we act. That is why we survive, and it is why the galaxy may yet remember us too." The Predator, relentless and intelligent, continued its advance, but the humans and their allies had learned to move as one. Observation stations provided early warnings, decoys redirected attacks, and fleets coordinated in ways the Predator could not easily predict. It adapted, yes, but humans adapted faster. They remembered every strike, every hesitation, and every reaction. Dr. Carter smiled as she monitored the Alliance's progress. "This is more than survival," she said. "We are teaching others to remember, to act strategically, and to value intelligence and adaptation over arrogance and power. Humanity may be small, but our legacy is growing." The Alliance faced challenges. Pride, distrust, and unfamiliar tactics sometimes slowed operations. Alien commanders occasionally questioned human orders, and miscommunication caused near misses. But each mistake became a lesson. Humans remembered, adjusted, and shared the knowledge, strengthening the Alliance with every engagement. One night, as the fleets rested near a safe system, Ward addressed the human and alien crews. "The Predator is patient, intelligent, and powerful. It will continue to test us, to probe our weaknesses. But we are not powerless. Humanity survives because we remember the past, act in the present, and plan for the future. We adapt faster than it does, and together we can protect this galaxy." A commander from the Valen contingent, a being that communicated through thought and light, projected a sense of gratitude and respect. "Your species, humans, are extraordinary. We doubted, but now we see. Memory, foresight, and adaptation. These are strengths we have overlooked." Ward nodded, feeling a quiet satisfaction. The galaxy had ignored the warning for too long, but humans were now remembered. Not as conquerors, not as the most powerful, but as leaders through intelligence, courage, and wisdom. Even as the Predator drew nearer, the Alliance was stronger, more coordinated, and more prepared than ever before. The humans of the Aegis had transformed fear into strategy, observation into action, and memory into survival. Each small victory inspired hope across the galaxy, showing that even a species young and underestimated could guide the fate of many. The Predator struck again, testing the Alliance's defenses, but the coordinated strategy held. Decoys and diversions worked as intended, fleets adjusted with flexibility, and the Predator was forced to retreat, at least temporarily. The victory was small but significant. Humanity's methods had proven effective not through brute force but through intelligence, cooperation, and foresight. Ward addressed his crew once more. "We have done well, but the battle is not over. The Predator will continue to learn, and so must we. We survive because we remember, and we lead because we adapt. Humanity's strength lies not in size or weaponry, but in thought, courage, and action, and that is a lesson the galaxy will not forget." Dr. Carter placed a hand on Ward's shoulder. "We are teaching more than survival. We are teaching the galaxy to think, to remember, and to act wisely. That is humanity's greatest gift." As the fleets of humans and their allies moved through the stars, a quiet determination filled every ship. The Predator remained a threat, a shadow in the darkness. But humans had shown that intelligence, memory, and courage could challenge even the most formidable dangers. The Alliance of Necessity had been formed, not through fear alone, but through human insight and leadership, and in the vast emptiness of space, hope burned bright, a small but powerful light against the darkness. Humanity remembered, acted, and led. And the galaxy, slowly but surely, began to take notice. The galaxy had changed. Where once there had been pride and division, there was now unity and purpose. The human-led Alliance had survived countless battles against the Predator. They had learned, adapted, and endured. But deep within the heart of the galaxy, the true source of the Predator's power still remained, an ancient energy field that warped gravity and consumed light. The humans called it the Core Shadow. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the Aegis, staring at the glowing map of the galaxy. Red markers showed every system the Predator had touched. Now, only one region glowed brighter than the rest, the center of the Core Shadow. Dr. Leona Carter adjusted her readings and turned to Ward. "We've tracked the energy signals. That's its source, Captain. The core is feeding it. If we strike there, we can stop the Predator permanently. But it's a one-way mission. The gravitational pull will destroy anything that stays too long." Ward nodded slowly. "We've come this far. Humanity warned the galaxy and no one listened. Now they believe. But belief isn't enough. We must finish what we started." Lieutenant Mira Solis stepped forward, her voice steady. "Captain, every Allied fleet is waiting for our signal. They'll follow us to the core. Humans lead this final mission. The galaxy stands behind us." Outside the viewport, hundreds of ships gathered, human and alien together, fleets from dozens of worlds aligned in formation, ready to strike. The humans had earned their place at the center of this grand force. No one questioned their leadership now. Ward opened a transmission to all ships. "To every crew across this alliance, today we face the heart of darkness. We face what the galaxy ignored for centuries, but we are ready. Remember why we fight, not for conquest, not for pride, but for life. Humanity has taught that courage, unity, and memory can outlast even the deepest shadow. Follow our lead, and together we will end this." A chorus of confirmations echoed through the channel. The alliance moved as one. The journey to the core was long and dangerous. Space itself twisted, and strange bursts of energy shook the fleets. Several smaller ships were lost, pulled into invisible currents. Yet humans stayed calm. They had studied these patterns, predicted these dangers, and shared their knowledge. Every lost ship was noted, every new movement recorded. Humans remembered every lesson. As the Aegis entered the outer edge of the Core Shadow, light began to bend around them. It was like entering a sea of glass and mist. The Predator appeared soon after, vast and shifting, made of energy and shadow. It had learned from every battle, and now it came with power beyond measure. Ward watched the readings spike. "It knows we're here," he said quietly. Dr. Carter's voice was steady. "Yes, but this time we know it too." The plan was simple but dangerous. Humans had developed a new kind of energy pulse, one that could disrupt the core's magnetic field. It required direct contact and perfect timing. The Aegis would lead the strike, protected by fleets that would draw the Predator's attention away. The alien commanders followed the human plan without hesitation. Once they might have questioned such orders. Now they trusted completely. Humanity had proven that wisdom was stronger than arrogance, that unity was stronger than isolation. The fleets advanced. Beams of light and bursts of energy filled the void. The Predator struck with immense force, tearing through formations, warping gravity fields. Ships were thrown out of position, yet humans kept the network intact. The Aegis moved straight toward the core, engines straining under the pressure. Lieutenant Solis called out, "Shields at maximum. All power to the front deflectors." Dr. Carter focused on her console. "Energy buildup reaching peak. 10 minutes until we can fire the pulse." The Predator turned its attention toward the Aegis. Its immense body stretched across the stars, glowing with dark energy. It sent out waves of destructive light, breaking through defenses. Several escort ships were lost instantly. Ward gripped the command rail. "Stay on course. Every second counts." The fleets fought bravely. The Valen cruisers released counterbursts, distracting the Predator. Therax warships shielded human carriers, giving them time to deploy smaller drones that carried decoy signals. Every move, every sacrifice followed the human plan. Still, the Predator pressed on. The bridge shook violently. "Hull breach on deck 3. Someone shouted. Ward steadied himself. "Seal it and keep firing." Dr. Carter's voice was calm but tense. "Captain, we can release the energy pulse in 60 seconds. But if we do it here, the Aegis will be destroyed." Ward looked at his crew. Their faces were steady, resolute. "Then we do what humans always do. We finish the mission." Solis looked at him, eyes firm. "Yes, sir. For humanity, and for everyone." The Aegis broke through the last defensive field. Ahead lay the core, a swirling storm of blue and black light alive with power. Ward activated the final command sequence. All ships, this is Captain Ward. Begin final phase. Fall back to safe distance. The Aegis will deliver the pulse. The fleets obeyed without hesitation. Humans had earned that trust. Inside the core's edge, time itself seemed to distort. The Predator's form loomed larger, surrounding the Aegis completely. It lashed out with energy waves, but humans fought back with every remaining weapon. The ship trembled, engines overheating. Dr. Carter activated the sequence. Energy pulse ready. On your command, Captain. Ward took a deep breath. Fire. A brilliant surge of light burst from the Aegis, spreading through the core. The energy pulse rippled outward, striking the Predator and the surrounding space. The dark form screamed, not in sound but in the vibration of space itself as it began to dissolve. The fleets watching from afar saw the explosion of light spread across the galaxy's center. Sensors overloaded and communications went silent. For several long moments there was only light. Then darkness returned. When the systems cleared, the core shadow was gone. The Predator had vanished. The gravitational field began to stabilize. The center of the galaxy was silent again, peaceful for the first time in centuries. But the Aegis was gone too. For days, fleets searched for any trace. They found fragments of human technology scattered across the region, blackened hull pieces, small data modules, and one transmission beacon still active. The message was from Captain Ward. His voice, calm and steady, filled every ship that received it. To all who hear this message, humanity warned you once and we stood alone. But now we stand together. Remember what was done here, not for glory, but for unity. Remember that intelligence, memory, and courage are the true strength of life. The galaxy ignored the warning once. Let it never forget again. Humanity remembers. Silence followed. Across countless worlds, the message was replayed again and again. In schools, in halls of government, and in space academies, humans and aliens alike listened to those words. They remembered. Over the years, the Alliance rebuilt what was lost. The humans, though small in number, became the symbol of resilience and wisdom. Monuments were built in honor of the Aegis and her crew. Every world told the story of how humanity, once dismissed as primitive, had led the galaxy through its darkest hour. Dr. Carter's data and discoveries were preserved across all allied networks, ensuring that if such a threat ever rose again, the galaxy would be ready. Humanity's legacy became part of the galaxy's foundation, woven into its culture and science. Generations later, when explorers traveled to the galactic core, they found something extraordinary, a faint light drifting where the Aegis had fallen. It pulsed slowly, rhythmically, like a heartbeat. Some said it was a fragment of the ship's reactor. Others believed it was something more, a symbol, a reminder. They called it the human star. And as long as it shone, the galaxy remembered. It remembered the small species that had faced the impossible. It remembered the warning that was ignored and the courage that followed. It remembered humanity. The wind howled across the frozen plains of Tarivos, rattling the fragile metal walls of the human colony. Snow and ice had buried much of the planet's surface in an endless white stretch. Only the colony's heat domes and tunnels offered warmth and safety. Despite the harsh environment, humans had made this barren world their home. They had learned to survive where nothing else could. Inside the main control center, Captain Ilara Voss stood staring at a series of blinking screens. Lines of numbers and glowing charts scrolled across them, revealing patterns she had never seen before. The data came from deep below Terevis's frozen crust. Something or someone was active there, something that had remained hidden for centuries. Ilara's hands hovered over the console, trembling slightly. Her curiosity burned. Scientists had detected unusual energy readings, signals pulsing in slow, deliberate patterns. They were unlike any natural phenomenon. Yet the Council, the colony's ruling body, had made one thing clear: do not awaken them. The words echoed in her mind. Do not awaken them. She had heard the warning hundreds of times, yet she could not understand why. Was it fear, caution, or knowledge the Council thought humans were not ready for? Ilara, said Dr. Kieran Hale, stepping into the control room. He was the colony's lead scientist and Ilara's closest confidant. You're staring at those readings like a hawk watching prey. What do you see? Ilara shook her head slowly. Something is down there, Kieran. Something alive, or at least once alive. The energy patterns are too complex to be natural. It's intelligent. Kieran frowned, his fingers brushing over the console. The Council said to leave it alone. They warned us. We can't risk it. You know what happened on Lysara 5. Curiosity can destroy more than it creates. Ilara turned to face him. I know the warnings, Kieran, I know the stories. But humans weren't meant to stand still and do nothing. If there is life, if there is intelligence under the ice, don't you want to know? Don't you want to understand it? Kieran hesitated. His eyes were full of concern. Understanding it might cost us everything. The Council knows more than we do. They wouldn't forbid exploration without reason. Ilara's gaze returned to the signal. Her heart beat faster. If we ignore it, we'll never know. I can't live with that. For days, she and her small team debated in secret. Lieutenant Rhea Torin, the ship pilot, and engineer Soren Vale, the colony's mechanical genius, both agreed that the signal demanded investigation. Late at night, they met in a quiet observation room, far from the Council's monitors. We are walking into the unknown, Rhea said, her voice firm, and the Council's warning isn't just words. Something dangerous is down there. That's exactly why we must go, Ilara said. The unknown has always been humanity's greatest challenge. It is in our nature to explore, to discover, to learn. If we do not go, someone else will, and unprepared. This way we at least have a chance. Soren leaned against the wall, shaking his head. I fix machines, Ilara. I don't fight monsters. But if it's intelligence, then maybe I want to see it too. Just, let's not die in the process. Ilara smiled faintly. No promises, but we'll survive. We have to. The plan took shape. They would descend beneath the ice using an experimental drilling vessel. Equipped to withstand Terevis's crushing pressure and freezing temperatures, it was a small, rounded craft called Aurora, designed for exploration and research. It had reinforced walls, automated drilling lasers, and a navigation system tuned to the faint energy readings coming from below. The night before departure, Ilara stood alone on the observation deck, looking at the pale glow of Terevis's twin moons. The planet seemed empty, silent, and eternal, yet beneath the ice a heartbeat waited, a mystery older than humanity itself. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. Kieran's face appeared on the holographic communicator. Ilara, you don't have to do this, he said softly. It's not too late to turn back. The Council, I can't turn back, she interrupted, her voice steady. We are human. We explore, we seek. You know that better than anyone. Kieran's eyes glimmered with worry. Just be careful. If the Council knew, they will never know, Ilara replied, cutting the connection. Her resolve was set. Curiosity would guide them, not fear. The next morning, the Aurora departed the surface, descending into a tunnel carved by massive drills and reinforced by metal frames. The outside world became a blur of white as the vessel moved deeper, its lights reflecting off the ice walls. The crew wore insulated suits and sensors scanned every inch of the icy labyrinth. The energy signal grew stronger with depth. It pulsed in regular intervals, almost like a heartbeat, guiding them forward. The walls around them began to glow faintly as crystalline formations reflected their lights. Strange shapes appeared in the ice, patterns that suggested something intelligent had once been here. This isn't natural, Soren murmured, tapping the control panel. Look at these formations. They aren't random. They're deliberate. Someone or something made them. Ilara nodded. Exactly. And that means we are not alone. We are following a trail left by minds older than ours. Keep the sensors active. I want every detail recorded. Hours passed as they descended further. Tensions rose. Rhea piloted the vessel with steady hands, but the crew could sense the unease in each other's eyes. The deeper they went, the stranger the ice became. Whispers echoed through the tunnels, though no one spoke. Shadows moved where there should be none. Suddenly, a pulse of energy radiated through the vessel. Lights flickered. A deep hum filled the cabin, vibrating through their suits. Instruments went wild. Brace yourselves, Rhea shouted, holding the controls tight. The Aurora shivered, rocked by a force they could not see. Cracks appeared in the ice walls, glowing with a faint blue light. It felt alive, as if the planet itself were aware of their presence. Ilara's heart raced. It's responding unto us. Something is aware down here. Soren's hands flew over the panels. We need to record everything. But are we safe? I mean, really safe? Ilara didn't answer. She could feel a pull, a strange compulsion to move forward. It was as if the signal itself called to them. They descended further, following the pulse, deeper into the ancient ice. Hours later, they reached a vast underground chamber. The aurora's lights illuminated towering structures rising from the ice. The formations were unlike anything human eyes had seen, geometric, symmetrical, and yet alive in appearance. They radiated faint energy, matching the pulsing signal. Alara stepped closer, awe and fear mingling in her chest. "We found them," she whispered. "What are they?" Soren asked, voice trembling. Alara shook her head. "I don't know. But whatever they are intelligent. And they are sleeping, waiting." Ria's voice was quiet. This is what the Council warned us about. We shouldn't be here." Alara looked around at the silent structures glowing faintly in the frozen chamber. She could feel the weight of history pressing down on her. The Council's warning echoed in her mind, but the pull of knowledge was stronger. "We didn't come this far to stop now," she said firmly. "We record, we study, and we learn. But we do not awaken. Not yet. We must understand first." As the aurora settled in the chamber, instruments scanning every inch, Alara could not shake the feeling that something was watching them. Something old. Something patient. The energy pulses continued, slow and deliberate, as if counting the humans' presence, assessing them. Alara stared at the glowing structures, feeling a mixture of fear and wonder. One question burned in her mind, louder than any warning. What happens if curiosity overcomes caution? Outside, Terebos remained silent. Beneath the ice, the heartbeat of the unknown waited patiently, and humans, guided by curiosity, had crossed the threshold into a world older and more dangerous than they could imagine. Alara took a deep breath, gripping the console. "We are here," she said softly, "and we are ready." The chamber trembled slightly, as if acknowledging her words. Something had sensed them, something that had been waiting for centuries, and far above, in the warmth of the colony, the Council waited, knowing that the first move had been made, and fearing what would come next.